After listening to the debate, and we talked about a lot of different topics, in my mind it comes down to really two components. One of those, do we provide a leave from work due to sickness? And the second is, do we provide a cash benefit to replace the wage that you lost due to the absence? And that's pretty much what it comes down to, in my opinion, as to, in very, very simple terms.
Did he ask me?
And, you know, when I first heard the concept of paid sick leave, and it's been around for a few years now, I was opposed to it. And the bill has been bantered around, and we heard there's some head counts and straw polls, and we have the votes, we don't have the votes. And things were changed as information was brought to certain folks' attention, and there were carve-outs made, and then we had the votes. And when we look at and read the bill, you know, it really, in my humble opinion, it almost applies to everybody. I don't really know that many full-time employees that don't have some type of paid time off. Just everybody does, whether it's a vacation day, a personal day, except for the restaurant industry. And I heard that we were wondering, we've gotten emails from our constituents, whether it's good or bad. And I didn't get one email from a waiter or a waitress or maitre d'. Not one. I got a lot from business owners who I don't think understood the language in the bill, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there as to what paid sick leave is. They think it's something that they have to give to their folks even though they give them other time off. And it's not until you explain it to them do they understand, oh, okay, well, we already provide that, so I guess we're covered. But I wanted to talk about what happens in the scenario in the bill on the first day of work. The person arrives to work and they've been hired, they've gone through their process, and we give them a stack of paperwork that they have to fill out. And in that paperwork is they have an insurance card if the employer provides insurance with benefits. They get their paperwork that they have to do for their pay, whether they file exemptions for spouses or not, W-2s. If they wear a uniform, they get issued or measured for their uniforms. And then there's a provision in the bill says that the employer must talk to them about the sick leave accrual policy. And imagine that conversation, the person's so excited to start their first day on the job, and they're here's your stuff to fill out so you can get paid, here's your uniform so you can do this, here's the other things that are part of your employment package. And here's the sick leave policy that the state mandated down to us that you get 1 hour for every 40 hours of work, and we're not allowed to retaliate against you. And if we do, here's how you have to go about filing a complaint so you can come after us. I mean, that's on the first day of work. Kind of takes the wind out of your sails if you're the new employee looking to start a great relationship with your employer. And I think it's somewhat hard for the employer to say that to the employee, because there's obviously a reason why they may not have offered that benefit. And then most employers, they have their benefits starting on a graduated scale. Usually there's a probationary period, so you'll start something the 30-day mark, the 60-day mark, the 90-day mark. But we've said that rather than go by days, in this bill we're going by hours. And that's interesting that we would choose 680 hours specifically to address that issue. And I've heard folks saying that, well, if we do an average of 5 days a week at 8 hours a day, it takes us 17 weeks to get there, so that'll take care of the summer folks that may work seasonally. But those that work in the camps, they work more than 8 hours a day. They often work 12 to 14, 15 hours a day, sometimes 6 days a week. So they really could complete the 680 hour requirement in as little as 9.5 weeks. And I don't know how many kids that come home from college or folks that like to do that seasonal job. A teacher, for example, who's out for the summer, looking for summer employment, may be hired as a counselor in a camp. They're not looking for paid sick leave, but they're going to get it if they hit the 680-hour mark. And then I heard from my good friend from the 5th Senatorial District that she checked with 15 of her business employers, small business owners. So they're not even applicable to this legislation here. Every single one of them said that they provide sick leave. All 15 that she checked with provide some type of approved time off. I won't even say sick leave. I'll say approved time off. So then we start saying, well, if the smaller businesses are doing it, who are the large businesses that aren't doing it? And while we may not want to point fingers and state names in the circle, I'd like to know who out there doesn't provide some type of approved time off for their full-time employees. I think maybe if they were embarrassed, they would do it. We talk about a cost, yet we preface that by saying, well, it's a small cost. Well, there are other things that are small costs, but they add up. At some point in this legislative session, we'll be talking about energy policy in the state of Connecticut. There's a lot of small costs in that. 1/10 of a cent. Talk about small. But that adds up to millions and millions of dollars, equating to the second highest electric rates in the state of Connecticut, or in the country. So when we talk about small, let's be careful how we characterize that, because it can be misconstrued. As we sit around the chamber, it may be small to us, but the struggling business where the owners have decided not to take a salary be quite cumbersome to them. And we talk about forecasting. We use forecasting in a lot of different things. We use forecasting when we look at the overseas trade market. We forecast our electrical needs the day prior so we know how much electricity to buy. And we hear businesses look at what is the Connecticut General Assembly contemplating this legislative session. We want to know how friendly they are to the business community. What are they going to hand down, or what are they talking about? And sometimes we have public hearings, and I think it's a good idea to have public hearings. But sometimes what happens is we have them year after year after year after year. And that's what happened with this bill. And I'm somewhat concerned that, I don't even know how many years it's been up here, but folks have said it's been dwindled down and reduced. Well, if the point is that we want to provide and mandate sick leave, why should we reduce it? Why should we dwindle it down? Why should we be happy that, okay, we just got something passed, so we can celebrate that? I don't think that's cause for celebration, because the argument is that if it's this important as a public policy, then we should do it across the board for everybody. I'm concerned that in part of the bill, it says that if an employee leaves work and they can make up their hours later on, they don't have to use their sick time to be paid, and they can't be held or retaliated against them. And I'm aware of a possible scenario where there may be an event in the town, or a taste of, you name the community, and the folks that are working at the restaurant may not necessarily like that day because there's not really that many tips, because people just are in the fair, they want to walk around and just taste the different samplings, and they say, oh God, here we go again, I hate this day. Well, now I'm going to use a sick day. I'm not coming to work. And guess what? They get to pay me for that day. And it's, who cares, because my employer can't do anything against me. And that draws concern to me. Because I know in my little field, there's certain events that happen that folks don't want to work. They have to, but that's life, and they're getting paid, and okay. And there's repercussions for not coming into work. And in here, in this bill, we're saying that your employer cannot retaliate against you if you take a sick day. I'm not sure if that is an affirmative defense to say the employer can talk to them about an abuse of sick time, because this is in my scenario, an annual event, and the person just happens to call in sick on that particular day or use a sick day, or those that review a person's timesheet. It seems like the sick days always occur on a holiday or on a Friday, what makes it tough for folks to work, that they can't talk to them about that or possibly terminate their employment because they feel that they're taking advantage of the system. We talk about statistics. Of course, statistics can be turned any which way you want them to happen, and I don't believe in statistics. It depends on how the question is asked and how it's presented. We can make and show anything that we want to happen, basically. I think the true answer I found was when I arrived in the building this morning. I kind of walked around downstairs. The CBIA was having an event for manufacturers and other businesses throughout our state downstairs, and I was going up asking the folks, well, what is it that you do? How many employees do you have? And their immediate concern was, oh, we're here to also talk to you about this paid sick leave bill and this other bill where you hold people hostage. And they don't, again, know the intricacies of the bills that we're passing, but they're afraid. And that's what concerns me, that the bills changed within the past week to 2 weeks. This legislature, I think, has got to do a better job of making sure that the changes are out there for the general public to see prior to us coming to chamber and voting on passage. Not the last minute things, especially substantive bills such as this, which may have a profound impact not only on the employee but the employer. With that, Madam President, I'm going to sit and listen to the remainder of the debate, and I do have some concerns with the bill. I wish that the current version, LCO 7200, was out there a little bit earlier so folks could have had their mind a little more set at ease. I hope that the business industry has heard loud and clear the intent of what is attempted to be accomplished here. But I guess my overall issue is, how far should government reach into the affairs of the business? And it's not bad being the pioneer in things. I have the book that says Connecticut's Firsts, and I'm proud of the fact that I'm a resident of Connecticut, and proud of the fact I'm a member of this chamber, and we were the leaders in a lot of different things. And it takes courage to be a leader. But it also reminds us that we need the folks behind us as well. And I wish we could have spent a little bit more time working with the business community to craft a bill that would apply to everybody without the special carve-outs. And I understand the fears of the food service industry. I think that's basically what we're talking about, is the food service industry. That we had the opportunity to hear from waiters, waitresses, and restaurant owners who will be mostly directly impacted by this bill, and not all the other folks that aren't. So I will sit and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, Madam President.